We start with news from Southampton. The latest from there is that the hearing in the James Anderson controversy involving Indian Test player Ravindra Jadeja has concluded for the day. And you can see exclusive visuals for headlines today. Team India getting onto that bus and leaving for Manchester, where they will play their next Test match. Remember, during the course of the day, the ICC's Judicial Commissioner Gordon Lewis was in charge of proceedings. Witnesses from both parties participated in that process. From India, it was Ravindra Jadeja, who was accompanied by MS Dhoni and Gautam Gambhir. The three were included in the hearing. As we mentioned, the rest of the team, however, moved on to Manchester for the fourth Test. The sources have told headlines today that the appeal regarding Ravindra Jadeja's participation in that little tiff may go in India's favour. In other words, they're saying the fine that was imposed on Ravindra Jadeja for 50% of his match fee will either be reduced to as little as 10% or could be scrapped entirely. These were images from earlier in the day where we saw James Anderson entering the hotel where that hearing was taking place. Anderson, as you may remember, has been charged with a level 3 disciplinary offence for allegedly pushing Ravindra Jadeja on the second day of the first Test match in this 5-Test series. Stuart Broad, the man on your screens, was also seen entering the hotel. He's one of the witnesses on James Anderson's side, we should say. Remember, James Anderson has denied charges that he pushed Ravindra Jadeja. Shivani Gupta has been tracking this case from Southampton. She's been outside that hotel where the hearing has taken place and joins us live right now for more. Shivani, what are you seeing at that hotel, at the Grand Harbour Hotel?
Well, the latest here is that 3 of the English members who were here for the hearing have left. That's namely Stuart Broad and Matt Pryor, and one member of their support staff. They've actually left the hotel for good now, so that means at least their participation in the hearing is absolutely over. We are yet to see Anderson, who's the man in the eye of the storm, come out of the hotel yet. Also the Indian players who have stayed back for this hearing, Jadeja, Dhoni and Gautam Gambhir. And there could be Duncan Fletcher, the coach, inside as well, together with the lawyers, and MV Sridhar, who's come for this hearing and this case, especially from India. The latest, of course, like I said, is that part of the English camp has left the hotel. Anderson is yet to come out. We're waiting for him. But the hearing, it seems, is over in itself. The Indian players, we saw their luggage and all being prepared. So they're preparing to leave in a separate car as well and join the team in Manchester. Any minute now, really, they might just be discussing how the hearing went right now. But the hearing is over. It looks like it's certainly over for most part, and maybe the final comments are being registered or final comments are being taken. Yet to see Anderson come out and the Indian players.
All right, we're hearing that James Anderson has actually come out of the hotel. Let's go across straight to Shivani Gupta, who's on the scene. Shivani, what are you seeing?
No, actually, Pierre, we don't really see James Anderson so far. We're yet to see him come out. Of course, we're waiting for that. The rest of his teammates, Matt Pryor and Stuart Broad, left a short while ago. So their part, certainly, in the hearing is over. Yet to see Anderson come out. We're all waiting for him, really. And, of course, to see Dhoni, Jadeja and Gambhir leave as well. Remember, as you mentioned, and we showed the visuals as well, the rest of the Indian team left almost more than an hour ago now for Manchester in the team bus. The rest 3 and whoever is left, Duncan Fletcher, if he's inside, will carry on in a separate car and join the team there. But we're yet to see James Anderson come out. We're right outside the exit of the hotel. There's a lot of activity happening outside in the hotel lobby right now. We can see from here. So we can expect some of the players who are left inside to come out very, very soon. But James Anderson, perhaps his looks will say once again, as we saw in the morning, just how the hearing went, Pierre.
You know, Shivani, the other thing that we've been hearing for some days is that this is the first time that the ICC has allowed an appeal from a board against the level 1 offence, that's the level 1 offence charge, and that the fact that this has happened is either because India is really powerful as a cricketing nation, or B, because Ravindra Jadeja might actually be innocent in this particular case, and the decision handed against him might have been the wrong one.
Well, let me just first point out, Pierre, that sources inside the Indian camp are telling us, as far as this hearing is concerned, that they're very, very confident about the Jadeja appeal. They're very confident that the fine that he was levied might be completely reversed, or at least reduced to a very nominal 10%. And that in itself will be a major victory, because that will ascertain that Jadeja had hardly any role to play, if any, and a nominal role to play in this incident. And that puts the entire onus then on James Anderson to prove that he's not guilty for the charges that have been put against him. The thing is that the onus is on him really to prove he's not guilty, and not really for India to prove that Jadeja is not guilty. Having mentioned that, you talked about the ICC allowing the appeal for the level 1 charge. The technicality on which the BCCI lawyers won this appeal is that the charge initially was a level 2 charge. It was brought down by the match referee David Boone to level 1, and he was penalized under level 1. But since the original charge was a level 2 charge, then they should be allowed to appeal it, especially when they feel so strongly about it. This is obviously not about the match fee, this is not about the money involved here, but Dhoni was absolutely adamant that when you're not guilty, why should you be charged anything at all? He even made that point before the start of this test match, when that charge was levied against him, when the fine was levied against Jadeja, that tomorrow if I ask my players to behave well, they'll say, well, I'm going to be charged 50% anyways, just for somebody else coming and pushing me and abusing me, so I might as well retaliate. So they feel very strongly about it, and the Indian sources, the Indian camp sources are telling us they're very confident. The captain, MS Dhoni, spoke about the Jadeja appeal. He spoke and made the case for India, and they're confident that they have expressed themselves very firmly on this issue, and this one, at least the appeal, should very well go into their favour.
Shivani, talk a bit about the witnesses in this particular case, because on Ravindra Jadeja's side, of course, you have Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who was there as captain while the three of them were walking off the pitch. Who do we have lined up against him on James Anderson's side?
Well, we have 3 players who actually came today as well for this hearing, together with Paul Fabris, who's the assistant team manager for support. There's Stuart Broad, who was here. He's, of course, James Anderson ally in the pace department. There was Matt Pryor, who's no longer taking any part in this series, or actually for English cricket right now. He distanced himself for various reasons, for injuries and for not being able to take up the pressure. And also there was Ben Stokes, who's one of the witnesses as well. For India's side, as you mentioned, there's MS Dhoni, who came out and said, this is what happened. I'm the Indian captain. I'm not lying about this, and made a very strong case in this matter. There's Gautam Gambhir, who hasn't played a part in the series so far, but is inside and is part of this hearing. And Duncan Fletcher could be part of the Indian camp as well. But as far as witnesses go, Ravichandran Ashwin was initially named as one of the witnesses as well. So he will have some comments to make on this matter as well. So there's actually a fair bit on either side. I mean, Phil Neal is the person who's actually levied the charge against Jadeja after India levied the charges against Anderson. He's the English support staff. So he could be, asked to make comments as well, because he's the one personally who made the charges against Jadeja. So there's 3 Indian players on one side, 3 English players on the other side, and of course the support staff, which is there to support the team.
Shivani Gupta has been reporting from Southampton on this particular hearing. She'll continue to get us updates as that hearing wraps up. Remember, it has concluded, and the players are now leaving the Grand Harbour Hotel, the scene of the hearing.